Hey, welcome to episode 205 of Aqually Awesome Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Freeman, and today we're talking with my with a brilliant guest who I've known for years about something that I frankly have at many times in my life found immensely challenging: visualization. However, just because we find something challenging doesn't mean that we can become better and much better at it. So I'm excited to bring on my guest, but first I need to tell you more about her. But before that, this.
Today's guest, Dr. Kimberley Linert.
Welcome back to Awkwardly Awesome Podcast. Um, let me tell my guest today, Dr. Kimberley. Oh gosh, check this out. As a pioneering doctor in behavioral optometry and founder of the Optic Brainfit Foundation, she has created a world-class therapy that combines traditional vision therapy with brain and movement therapy for life-changing results that is employed by elite athletes and CEOs looking for a competitive edge and people with special needs, brain injury survivors, and the elderly. As a creative visionary, author, and podcast host, Kimberly helps people to find happiness, significance, and fulfillment while reaching the highest potential in life. Dr. Kimberley Linert book, Visualizing Happiness in Every Area of Your Life, is a step-by-step guide to creating happiness and fulfillment in your life, filled with stories of how different people experience happiness. Her proprietary incredible life creator methodology is used to help individuals, groups, and organizations define a deeper, more meaningful purpose that leads to higher satisfaction and success. She also hosts the Incredible Life Creative Podcast Show. Please welcome to the Awkwardly Awesome Virtual Studios, Dr. Kimberley.
Hey, nice to see you.
Wonderful to see you. Wonderful to see you. So Dr. Kimberley, everyone pretty much wants to succeed and wants to be happy and wants to live an incredible life. But yet, a lot of people struggle at many points in their life. What have you found gets in our way of living the life we truly want to live?
So, that is life when you think of it. Life is, I a lot of times describe it as a sine wave, the wave that goes up and down over the line, and the line is the middle. And that what life is. And I don't care who you are. We all have challenges, and sometimes the challenges are obvious to the people around us, And sometimes the challenges are internal, and sometimes the challenges are, deep inside a person, and we don't always know that they're going through challenges, but life is kind of half and half celebration and this is hard for it really is, and we all have that. And the one of the problems with like social media and the things that we have is everyone is only showing on social media their celebrations. And so if you're not celebrating at the time, you feel like, what's wrong with me? The thing is, it's lopsided. It's lopsided. And everyone needs to remember that you are a special, unique, important, beautiful creation of God. And you who you are supposed to be, and you may be going through those challenges, but as many of us know, especially people who, I'm getting up there in age, many of us who have experienced a lot of life will tell you that the people we are now, we couldn't have been if we didn't go through the challenges we went through on the way up. And even, where I'm at now, I have plenty of challenges. I mean, you read my bio and it's like, oh, that's really amazing. Well, I wasn't born and that's where I was. I started out as a shy child, and, I just always listened and I didn't hardly talk. But now I have a podcast and I'm talking to people across the world. Why is that? Because when you have whatever your gift is inside, that unique gift that you're given, and we might have many gifts because there's seasons in life, but when you have that gift and you also know what your mission is and what you're supposed to do, the mission gives you the courage to step out even when you're unsure, even when it's hard, even when it's a challenge, even when it hurts sometimes.
So, from what I hear you saying, visualizing happiness is not totally about just being happy 100% of the time. Am I
Right.
understanding that?
Yes, yes. And you want to take when I wrote the book and titled it, happy was kind of a good word to use as far as it's going to get people's attention. But what we're really talking about is that internal joy. Because even when you're going through challenges, you can have an internal joy because you have things to be thankful for. You can be thankful for the fact that you have family who love you unconditionally, regardless of how badly you might behave or how badly. We have people who love us. In America, most of us have a place to sleep and warm water to take a shower in, and food and nice clothes and changes of clothes. So there's always that internal joy within inside. But when I was talking about visualizing happiness, I was really talking about creating the life the way you'd like it to be. And if we're in a position where we feel like we're in suffering, it's really hard to create from that spot because your brain, your conscious brain, is thinking about suffering or woe is me, or, this is harder for me than it is for other people. But it's only harder for you in a certain area because it's harder for someone else in a different area. So, in order to do that, you want to imagine how you would like your life to be, because it's only in our imagination that we can change our where we are to a perspective of where we want to be, and it's only from that perspective can we create it. If we don't have that perspective, we cannot create it. Now, you talked about at the beginning, um, sorry if you're thinking about this, but you talked about at the beginning that sometimes you had trouble visualizing, and we can talk more about that, and maybe I can give you some practical things.
Definitely. And I want to get into the visualization and how we create new perspectives when maybe we're not feeling as up as we want to be. But first, you've said so many things I want to follow up on. We often think of joy or happiness coming from external things. How would you, when you say internal joy, how would you define internal joy?
All of our joy comes from internal joy. It comes from our soul, our heart, the person in this body that we really are. I'm a person of faith. I know there's not everyone listening may not be a person of faith, but our value and our happiness and our joy comes from God or whoever you think created the earth and all that. It comes from within. And there's even been research where thinking about something makes someone just as happy as experiencing it. So you have to choose to be happy. I mean, there are some people that appear to have everything. They look like they're successful in their career. They might have plenty of money. They have influence. They have friends. And you think, why can't they be happy? And the next day you hear they jumped off the building. And you think, why did they do that? Because they had all the things that appeared to be something that could make you happy, but those outside things can't make you happy. An unhappy um, uh, person who is, let's say, just using money, who is poor, if they become wealthy, they're going to be an unhappy, wealthy person. You have to choose to be happy. And then you visualize how you want your life to be. What could add more joy to your life? And what are the things that take away the joy? And those are the things you want to remove from your life.
Um, choosing happiness sounds so simple and obvious. Why do people so often get stuck about just choosing to be happy?
It's just whatever you concentrate on. So I was talking to a friend yesterday about a relationship that I'm in, and part of the problem with the relationship is that we're very different, and at the same time we're very similar because we're very strong-headed people.
Mhm.
and, and she was saying, you're mirroring each other.
Hmm.
She said, just keep looking for the beautiful in the other person. Regardless of the things that aggravate you, just look for the beautiful. And so, if you're stuck in feeling sad, what about if you looked for the beautiful in your life? What if you
If
just
you're
started feeling
stuck,
the
if
beautiful
you're
thing?
stuck feeling sad, what about if you look for the beautiful in your life?
Yeah, look for the beautiful and then continue looking through for the beautiful. Say, what else could make my life feel more beautiful, better? What could make me feel good? I mean, I don't know about you, but if I go on a 5 mile hike and then I come home and I get to sit down on my couch, that makes me feel good. You know, what is that thing? It's just little steps. And when I'm working with people, I do some mentoring and I work with people in high performance. So these people are already successful, they're already doing great, but they want that little tweak. They want that little tiny touch that makes all the difference, because that little tiny touch exponentially after days and weeks and months becomes this huge change. So if you're feeling sad, what is that just one thing that'll make you feel better? And when you think of that, you're going, oh yeah, that did make me feel better, even thinking about that. Or maybe if I just went for a walk. I mean, I think walking in nature is just a miraculous thing. Nature is free. Everyone can walk out in nature. So if you're feeling sad, it's time to take a walk or a ride. Some people need to take a ride because they're not ambulatory or whatever. But, you know, my grandmother, when she got older, she always used to like to walk. But as she got older and her heart wasn't working so well, she got sad because she couldn't walk down to the beach because she lived on a beach. And it was a road that went down to this park. And so my parents bought her a golf cart. And so what she'd do, and this was when she was in her 90s, she'd get on her golf cart, she'd go to her friend's house, pick them up, the next friend's house, pick them up. So then the 3 or 4 of them ended up at the park hanging out.
So suddenly she's gone from thinking about what she can't do to not only going where she wants to go, but getting friends and having community, and suddenly it sounds like it was a lot more enjoyable for her.
Exactly. And another person reminded me of this the other day. They said, if you're feeling really depressed, I mean, so sad, and you just don't even feel like you can even move out of bed. You don't feel like you can do anything, just hardly breathe. She said, think of anyone at all that you could help in some way. Even if it's picking up the phone and calling and saying, hey, how are you doing today? Even if that's all you can do is pick up the phone and ask somebody how they're doing and put your attention on them instead of on you. Because when we are created for community, like you said, we are created to be connected to other people, and we are created to be needed. There's actually studies about that people that do not feel needed and useful, they die sooner. I don't care how old you are or how sick you are or whatever's going on in your life, you have to feel like you have some purpose, some usefulness among the people around you, or you just die. And so, even I remember a lady that their family came to see me as patients, and I got to know them really well because they were doing therapy. So with therapy, they come for a few months. And this beautiful lady, she got sick and she got cancer. And when I went to go and see her, she had been sick for several months, and she had looked like 50 pounds. She still looked beautiful. She looked like an angel. And I'm telling you, I go in there to try and cheer her up, to help her feel good. And the whole time she's saying things to me. Oh, how are you? How, I'm so happy what you did to help my son. And she's pouring into me. She is so sick and in so much pain, and she's laying in the bed talking to me, and she's pouring into me this encouragement when I went to go encourage her.
Oh, that is just such an incredible story, and it really shows the mutual give and take of happiness, like you and your friend. I mean, she has cancer. She's lost 50 pounds. She I mean, it could have been a really heavy conversation, but yeah, she was in a place where she wanted to lift you up, and you were in a place where you wanted to lift her up. So I bet during your talk, you just kept lifting and lifting until you had a joyous time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, powerful. If happiness starts with internal joy, and if we don't choose internal joy, we no matter how much we get, we will never really be happy. If so much depends on internal joy, what why reach for the stars? Why be a successful CEO? Why be a successful leader? Why write books? Why do all this external stuff?
Yeah. Because we're here for a purpose.
Hmm.
You could be, I guess you could sit there and say, I'm happy and I'm happy all here by myself. I'm just going to sit here and eat pie and look at the stars and I'm happy, you know. But after a while, your soul says, you know, I'm sick of eating pie. I'm tired of looking at the stars. Why am I here? Why was I born in this body? Why am I here on earth? Gosh, am I supposed to be doing something? I mean, we were created with special gifts in us, and we're all unique. So if there's people that if they don't expand their gifts and share them with other people, the world loses something. Think about if Edison decided that, you know, after someone told him, the teacher said he was uneducable, which means they sent him home. They sent him home to his mother. They said, he's so stupid. He cannot learn. We're sending him home because we can't teach him. Now, that wouldn't happen in today's school district, but that happened then. Imagine if he took that to heart. Imagine if his mother had told him what the teacher had said, and they decided that he was not able to be educated, and they just took him and put him in some crazy home, and he just rotted. You know what I mean? Nobody stimulated him, nobody gave him resources, nothing.
You're giving me goosebumps right now. Because following our purpose, I mean, your example makes it clear that it's not only for our generations or our lifespan. I mean, we are here having this conversation because we have light. Light, because Edison didn't listen to the naysayers, but went forward. We are here because he followed his purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
We'd still be using
amazing.
kerosene lamps. We'd still be using kerosene lamps.
And
That's what they
this
were
would be a
using.
whole different podcast with kerosene lamps.
I'm sure it would be.
Oh, another thing I this is going really fast. Another thing I want to retreat from the first 5 minutes you were talking is you said that sometimes people deal with very external challenges that everyone knows about, and sometimes they deal with internal challenges that they're the only one who's really witness to the challenge. What's the difference for people experience wise between the two challenges?
So I think of two things when I think of that. So, for example, if you think of someone who has diabetes, and the diabetes got so bad that, you know, they had to amputate their legs, and maybe they're even gone blind. Well, it's very obvious that they have challenges. someone else has to push them around, or they have to have an electric wheelchair. I mean, that's very obvious, and people see that, and people are really um, aware of the fact that this person has a challenge. The nice thing about that is because it's so obvious, this person doesn't really have to ask for help as much
Mm.
because people see the challenge. And, if they have a heart at all, they're going to at least ask them, would you like some assistance?
Mm.
That person may want to be really independent. They're like, no, I'm good. I'm good.
Mm.
You know, but the people who deal with the internal ones, they're the ones that in the public eye, they feel like they have to have this persona. And I'm talking about our CEOs, our politicians, our people um, in leadership roles where they need this persona to create confidence. Think about a politician who doesn't create confidence. Who's going to follow them? Think about a leader. If Napoleon Bonaparte wasn't so strong, nobody would follow him if he was all wimpy or didn't know what he wanted. But the thing is, I don't care who that person is. I had a friend who actually coaches these type of people. That's the only type she just coaches high caliber people. And she said, there's a lot of corporations being run by little girls and little boys. And it's
Mm.
because deep inside, they still have that child. They still have the challenges of, am I good enough? Am
Mm.
I doing it good enough?
Mm.
All of us kind of have a little bit of that. Am I doing it good enough? And even the most successful people can have a lot of doubts and challenges, or you don't know about their childhood. Maybe they were abused during their childhood, and their success isn't because they're just so smart or whatever. Their success is because they're trying to prove over and over that they're good enough. They're doing this accomplishment and that accomplishment and that accomplishment to prove, maybe to themselves, maybe to the others, maybe to a parent who's already dead, that they are good enough.
Mm.
But a lot of times that doesn't even give them the satisfaction or the peace or the joy that they want, because it's a driven, I got to do this, and they're tired but they keep going. So you know when you have a purpose, you want it to come from your heart. And if you're being successful and you're doing things out in the world, you want it to come from a purpose where when you wake up in the morning, you're excited about your purpose. You're not working like a crazy person to prove that you're okay. So that's what I mean by challenges that are hidden, because they look like they're doing great, but they're like a duck just paddling as hard as they can underneath, hoping nobody notices the fact that maybe they're not, maybe they shouldn't be in this, even though they made it to CEO. They're feeling like, what if someone figures out that I'm not good enough to be CEO?
The way it's just fascinating listening to you. The way you describe things is so interesting. It's so visual. It's so good. And I'm having epiphanies, and I'm hoping that all who are listening are having epiphanies too. So how would you coach someone who after you talk to them seems to be achieving from the external needing to prove something to someone type purpose versus a internal joy filled purpose?
Hmm. Um, Now, a lot of people do this as part of their coaching, but it's so important, and that's why they do. So, when you think of um, a young woman, because this happens more to women than men, who are anorexic, they look in the mirror and they see themselves fat. And when you look at their physical body, their bones are sticking out, right? That is a distorted view of who they are. So that anorexic girl thinks she's fat, and she thinks everyone sees her as fat, but it's not true. And so when these people, no matter how successful they look, when they look at themselves, it's kind of like that anorexic young woman. They see themselves not good enough. And so there is some belief that is not true, that they have been believing. And so you have to go back and you have to let them look at those beliefs from wherever they started. So you go back looking for where did that start, and do your best to get back to the root cause. A lot of times it's someone said something or something happened and they assumed something. And almost all these things happen in childhood. So you go back and you find those things so they can see them as a third person going, wow, that's not right. that's 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 definitely not right. And I've been believing that. Not only have I've been believing that, but I'm making all my decisions since then based on that belief, and that belief is wrong. It's like trying to create something, and um, based on a certain hypothesis, like the world is flat. Well, if you believe the world is flat and you're creating a vehicle to, travel around the world, but your thesis, your hypothesis is wrong, and that's what's happening. These people, their hypothesis, what they believe about themselves, is wrong, and they're making all these decisions based on that. And all of a sudden, they created this whole life, and they're like, now that I'm feeling in my heart, I really don't even want to be doing this. And sometimes people find some beautiful other way to create their life. And sometimes it has to do with their job, but sometimes it just has to do with something like, my mom always said that, you can't make money being an artist. And that was actually, me. And my parents loved me and they encouraged me to do art, but not as a profession, right? So, after my kids got older and I had more time, I went back and started taking art classes. And now I'm an artist. But I had to give myself permission to do that because I was one of those achievement-oriented people. So that's why I understand them because I was them.
Well, what joy has come into your life by giving yourself permission to be an artist?
Well, when I'm doing any type of creative endeavor, creating anything at all, but I especially love doing acrylic painting, I could start painting and forget what time it is. And there's times when I start painting and I realize that it's 2 a.m. I haven't eaten my dinner and I'm not hungry. and I finished painting. I'm like, okay, this is a good stopping point. And I walk upstairs because my art studio is in the basement. I walk upstairs. I'm like, oh man, 2 a.m. in the morning. I got to get up tomorrow. It's just a whole mind clearing wash. Like, it's so joyful and so in the flow. And I forgot to eat. I forgot what time it is. Doesn't everyone want to have that flow in their life? So, and if you can make it so that your work is that way, the thing we're doing for money, that's even nicer because you go to work and you realize, oh, yeah, I really don't want to stop working, but I guess I'll go home and have some dinner. But you're excited to wake up the next day and go to work. And there's so many people aren't excited about going to work. But what if We were doing things that we really enjoyed. And sometimes that isn't always possible because we've been doing the same thing for a long time, and that's how we're making our income. But we can always take our free time. Maybe some people like whitewater rafting, and they're thinking, well, on the weekends, I do have to be in the office Monday through Friday, but Saturday's my day. I spend the whole day on the river.
Can you imagine if you hadn't given yourself the freedom to be an artist, how much would be missing from your life?
It would be missing a lot. It would be missing so much. I get so much joy out of it.
This is an easy segue, but I want to bring this into the mix. What has the foundation of being a behavioral optometrist? How does that foundation inform the work you do now?
Oh, so just in case people don't know what that is.
Oh yeah, please.
So an optometrist is an eye doctor that checks the eye health, checks, prescribes glasses, contacts, gives you eye drops if you need something, if you have an eye infection or things like that. The difference between us and ophthalmologists is that we don't do surgery. Um, and when I was in optometry school, I went through a rotation where I was doing vision therapy, which is one of a specialization. So not most optometrists actually don't do that specialization. It's a very you have to study a lot for that. Um, but I did a rotation in that, and I worked with a little boy, and he was from the projects. He came in because he was just for an eye exam, but they found out his eyes were not teaming together the way they should. And so I started working with him, and after a couple months, I noticed a difference. When I first started working with him, he was really shy. He was very polite, but very shy and always looking down. And then after he started coming the last few weeks, he was like up, happy, hey, how are you? All excited. And I'm like, Darren, I'm just curious because I was just still a student. I said, have you noticed any differences since we started working with you? Because I noticed you're like really happy now. And he said, yeah. I said, well, what is it? And he said, well, I don't feel stupid anymore. And I said, what? What do you mean? And he said, well, in the past, when I had to read out loud in class, everyone laughed at me because I couldn't read. He said, but now I can read and nobody laughs at me. And I thought about that, and I thought, if I can do that over and over again, I will be the happiest person. And that's one of the places I found purpose, is if I can transform lives that way. And my background as a behavioral optometrist, we look at the whole person. So we integrate vision, brain, and body.
Vision, brain, and body.
And as I worked in my own clinic, once I got out of school, I found that I was doing a lot more brain work. And not only that, but if I combined it with lots of movement, I'd have people on balance beams, trampolines, balance boards. By doing that, I got sustainable results. I mean, it was even more solid than just working with the vision. And so I created this Optic Brainfit. And I worked with people, as you read in my bio, from, people who needed rehabilitation to people who just like athletes who wanted to get better at their sport and have that slight edge. And what I learned is that because I had to learn nutrition, I had to look at their emotional, their mental, their vision, brain, body. I had to look at everything, and I had to assess it and give them whatever treatment they needed in all areas. So it's good at assessing the whole person. And from that experience, I learned that when you open up your vision, you open up your possibilities, you increase confidence, and you help people feel like they can like do anything, because the more you open up their vision, they say, oh, I can do that. And then you open a little more, like, oh, there's more things I can do. And so that leads directly into what I'm doing now. So I'm not using a therapy center where I'm making people, go on balance beams and trampolines and things like that. Although sometimes I do. Even though I'm not in a therapy center, I will have people jumping on a rebounder, which is a little mini tramp, because it is very good for rebalancing your brain. So 10 minutes a day on a rebounder is really good. But anyways, so I use the same concepts to help people open up their vision, get rid of the obstacles that are in their way, and that could be those limiting beliefs about themselves, but also open up their vision so they're like, because think about when I talk a lot about using your central, your peripheral vision. So a lot of people are walking around using their central vision, and all they see is what's in front of them. And this is happening even more because we're in front of screens all the time. And you need to use your central and your peripheral vision, because the central, you identify things and you see your goal. The peripheral, you see the possibilities and you navigate where you can go. Well, if someone's really depressed, they're just doing this. And if what they're looking at is sad, they feel depressed. But if they move their vision and like, oh, I'm happy now, and then they move it back down here and they're depressed again, because they don't have a big enough view. So if you open up someone's view and their perspective, they're going to feel better and they're going to achieve more, but they're going to achieve more from their heart center.
So that it's easy for humans to get locked into two patterns, like think this is my job, this is what I do. When I come home, this is how I interact with my loved ones. It's easy to get that small view, and for that small view to become very tight and very almost like a safety blanket. When someone's clinging to that small view, how do you help them relax into considering a larger, more peripheral perspective? You just want me to say a lot of big P words today.
Yeah. So first, you have to make sure that they want to change.
Mm.
And I was listening to a pastor the other day, and he was talking about healing and praying for healing. But there were certain people that they didn't want to heal because, everybody felt sorry for him. Everybody babied them, whatever. People made them their favorite food when they were sick. So they didn't want to get better. So the first thing is, if someone's in that, you have to make sure they actually really want to get out of it. But if they truly do want to make a change, then you do things in just small steps. Um, I mean, if someone is afraid to go out of their house, ask them, okay, I know you're afraid to go out of your house, but could you just look out the window? Just look out the window. And now, while you're looking at the window, even though you're still inside, can you imagine yourself standing out there next to that tree? So you just do things in small steps, very gently, as the person is able. But here's the thing that people, I don't know if they forget or they don't realize, is that, we all want to stay in our comfort zone, but all the excitement is outside the comfort zone.
We all want to stay in our comfort zone, but all the excitement is outside our comfort zone.
So you have to be willing to step out into the unknown, not even sure if there's a step there to step on. You might step out and be like, I think of the cartoon characters like the Roadrunner, and the coyote falls over the cliff, he's running, the Roadrunner, boom, over the cliff. You might step out and fall off the cliff. But hopefully we have the faith to believe that there's a net or God's hand or somebody's going to save us from dying, and we get back up and we try stepping in maybe a different direction.
True, if we step in one direction and it doesn't work, I mean, there's more directions than just a one that don't work. That's a really good point. At, this point in the show, I can hear listeners because I used to do it too. Say, oh, Doctor, Kimberly, easy for you to say, easy for you to say, but you've been through immense challenges too. You mentioned being very shy as a kid, and then also when I'm close to when I originally met you, your beloved fiance passed away. What would you say to someone who's kind of in the thick of the challenges and has kind of that vision where all they can see is the pain and the consequences and the unending challenge?
I think finding other people to support you. I remember when you said that about my fiance. I remember sitting in the kitchen at the kitchen table, and our cat jumped up on my lap, and she would not leave my lap. Of course, she didn't know my fiance just died, but she got up on my lap, and everywhere I went around the house, that cat was there. That cat knew I needed someone there, and that cat followed me around for several weeks until I was okay.
That cat was very persistent.
Yeah. And I think if you're going through any difficulty, you need someone to be with you, not to sympathize or feel sorry for you, but a positive person who can understand the situation and can help you maybe think a little bit differently. Like, okay, so if you can't from your own self, you're just so sad or so down or so like, I know when he died, I said to my mom, I feel sick in my stomach. I feel sick everywhere. I said, but I know I'm not physically sick. I just feel sick in my, I had friends that just said, it feels bad now because they knew it was feeling bad. It feels bad now, but it's every day it gets a little bit better. And just that thought, that's all I needed, is that little bit of hope that tomorrow it'd be a little bit better. And they said it might take you months, but each day it's going to be a little bit better. So if you just go on the hope that it's going to be a little bit better. So if you have that friend, that one person that can encourage you, that if you could just move just a tiny bit, see that's not much. The thought is the next day is going to be just a little bit better is not much, but it was enough. It was enough to move me forward, little by little.
And as you were saying so amazingly about vision, you at the time you were had the central vision of being in pain of this loss, and your friend was just by saying those few words was helping you slowly, day by day, expand that vision.
Mm-hmm. Because he gave me hope. He gave me hope that it wasn't always going to feel this way. But he didn't lie to me and say, "Oh, you're going to be okay. Just wait a week. You're going to be fine." No, he didn't say that. He he told me the truth. He had when he was like only like I think 19, his girlfriend that they'd been dating for 3 years died in a car accident.
Oh my God. Wow.
So, you know, he was talking from experience.
That's another thing just want to shine a light on, like like at 19, your friend went through an incredibly hard, gut wrenching, awful time that he didn't expect to have to go through, but but since he went through that, he had the wisdom, he had the perspective, and you mentioned the word perspective before. He had the perspective to say a few words that 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 helped you
Mhm.
move in that helped you visualize your own healing.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh. So back to visualizing
Mhm.
happiness. People listening to this in all different places. What are some practical things anyone can do to start visualizing the happiness they want?
Okay. I kind of wanted to go back to what you said in the introduction before you brought me on that, sometimes you had trouble with the visualization.
Yeah. That's indeed true.
Yeah. So if I could address that. So first of all, a lot of times people when they think of visualization, they think they have to see a picture. But there are
Mm,
some people that have a really hard time seeing a picture in their mind.
mm,
So for some people it's just a feeling.
mm,
So when you're visualizing, I'm going to use that loosely, when you're visualizing what you want next, just imagine, because you're really talking about your imagination, right? Imagine how you're going to feel when you have that thing. Let's say you're imagining that you want a boat, you like to fish, you want to have a fishing boat. So imagine, let's say you can't see the picture of the boat in your mind because you're just not good at visualizing pictures. But imagine in your mind a beautiful Saturday morning. You get up early, you get in your boat, you go out on the water. It's so peaceful. How are you feeling? That's how you can imagine or visualize. Some people are very auditory. So they visualize with their words. So if you're that person, and that's, a lot of people who are writers, who are poets, who are just good with words, and maybe they're never did great with reading, but they're good with words. Um, you know, how would you describe that fishing boat and that experience of being, how do you feel? Just say it in words. So use whatever sense you need to get that feeling, and whether the feeling is visual, is auditory, is feeling in your body, the feeling, that's how you can imagine. And a lot of people think they can't imagine, but think about it. When you think about the car you have now, can you get a picture of it? Some people can, some people can't, but most people can. And when you go out to the parking lot to find where you parked your car, do you remember where it is?
yeah. Oh
Yeah,
boy.
yeah, you do, because guess what? You can visualize. You're visualizing where your car is, because if you couldn't visualize where your car was, you'd be walking around the parking lot looking for your car. So even people who think they can't visualize, we're actually visualizing all the time. but for some people, it is harder to visualize something they haven't seen. In other words, they have hard time creating the picture, which is again okay. Use your words, use your feelings, but you can still use that to visualize how you want your life to be. And so I don't know if I answered the original question, but I wanted to address that because there's a lot of people that feel like they can't visualize.
So this, you answered it wonderfully. This is an amazing subject, and we could could talk another hour on it, but it's an hour long podcast. But one more question on the subject. So one thing that happens is people visualize the boat, and they feel all happy, and then they come back to their life with no boat. What's your advice about making that transition between visualization back to quote unquote daily life?
So, we're in this reality, that's true. And we visualize that. And usually boats don't just like drop out of the sky or anything. We're not like
That would be
visualizing
kind
about,
of
oh
scary.
wow. Hey, there's my boat. It just dropped into the water. It's not like that. But the visualize you that's one piece of it, right? You have to visualize it. But number two, we are in a, this I have a body. This is solid desk. Um, we do need to do something to get the boat, whether that be looking for a new boat or getting together our money for a new boat or finding the dock where we're going to put our boat. I mean, there is the basic, things you need to do in this solid world
Mm.
to create those things. So, I think, but when people look forward to things, it makes them very happy. Think about if you've ever planned a vacation, you're going to go in 3 months, and every weekend you're thinking, wow, in about 3 months, I'm going to Disney World. And you're so excited. You're so excited. It's the same thing with the boat. Do you have the boat physically in hand right now? No, but you're thinking about the boat. You're thinking about how you're going to get the boat. You're thinking about how it's going to feel when you get that boat. So you can have the same happiness thinking about the boat as you can as being in the boat. But of course, everybody wants the actual boat. But in the meantime, yeah, you're back in your real life, but you're anticipating, and that anticipating is very joy filling.
Hmm. Wow. Powerful, powerful. Um. So two more quick questions. I talk in my work about the power of doing I am perfect best. What does that phrase mean to you? Or how do you do your imperfect best?
So, um, trying to think how to answer that. I think no matter what you do, you should aim for excellence. But they
Mm.
always say you're bad before you're good and you're good before you're great. So, wherever you're at with whatever it is you're working on, you do the best you can at the level you're at with the intention to improve that the next time just a little and improve it the next time just a little until you get that excellence that you want.
It's a great definition. And if people go um to your website, what would they find? What would you want them to savor and enjoy?
Well, my website is actually pretty basic and it probably needs to be revamped to tell you the truth. So it's very basic, but but they will find like where my podcast is, my book Visualizing Happiness in Every Area of Your Life, and In fact, I didn't talk about this much, but this book is a step-by-step guide to creating a life that you love, and it's like a workbook. So it actually has questions at the end. So if you fill in the answers of the questions, when you get to the end, it shows you how to put it all together. But you need the answers that you're doing throughout the whole book. So it's like a workbook. So it's practicals, because I don't believe that just learning things helps people. You have to learn and implement, right? The other thing it has in it is stories of different people and how they found happiness in their and fulfillment in their life, because everyone finds it in a different way. So they'll find they can buy this on Amazon, but also if you look under free book, if you don't care if it has a nice yellow cover, I have a PDF of the book, so anybody can have the information about it.
Wow, wonderful. And just say a little about your podcast, please.
So my podcast is Incredible Life Creator, and I interview people from different walks of life to find out what gives them happiness, fulfillment, how they're putting their gifts out into the world, all the things we've talked about today. And the purpose is for people to find their passion and purpose and live it. And I do that by having such a variety of guests that
Including me.
it will spark your creativity of thinking, what could I could do that. And also shows you their lives. So people don't just show up as a star athlete. They started with little league baseball, and so you can see the pivots of how they got to where they are. And there's so many people that you're going to resonate with some, you're not going to resonate with others, because I tell people I have vegetarians on there, and then I have carnivores, so you can't possibly agree with everyone, but hopefully you're going to find some stories of people that you will resonate with.
Yeah, check out Dr. Kimberly's website, and thanks so much for being on and sharing your stories, your joy, your insight, and your vision.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me. And I just love what you are doing. And I saw 205. Wow, that's a lot of episodes. So you're doing great. And you are just a fabulous interviewer. I loved your questions, and I hope it brings value to the listeners.
I can say with confidence, it will. It will. And thank you, Kimberly. Um. So that we have so much possible, so much possibility, so many possibilities in life, and like truly, so much can be created. We can create so much, but sometimes, as Dr. Kimberly was talking about, we get stuck in these limited perspectives which don't really represent at all the fullness of what we can create, and I'm glad people like Dr. Kimberly are there to remind us that hey, there's more to life. There's more to you. That thing. Thanks for tuning in. Tune in for an episode with another great guest next week. And please comment if that brings you joy. We love comments, and I've forgotten for the last like 2.5 years to play the outro. So today, my business partner reminded me to play the outro. So you'll get the outro.